I'm gonna sit down and watch the show. Hey, Matt. How you doing today?
How's it going? Not bad.
Fantastic. Matt.
Yes.
This is the third episode we've done of this show.
This
is number 3.
Already. It feels like it's number 1 all over again.
Three shows.
Three
shows. All right.
I
want to.
Hey, look, guys, I'm back.
Whoa.
Holy moly. That was. Are you guys.
Hey,
that was
no. We're recording the intro. What is it with this show? I'm kicking you off, Barton. Barton, go away. Barton, go away.
Are we on?
Go.
Is this,
Where's
are we
the?
live? Hello?
Where's the? Can I not hang up on Barton?
His blog has infiltrated us.
We're actually recording the introduction to the show.
Yes.
Ironically, last episode we had a journalist that was supposed to be on the show, couldn't make the show, and then afterwards we record the intro right after we record the show, and then he hops on in the middle and goes, "Guys, I'm late. I almost broke my hand," or something like that. And now you hop on. Barton, go away. Go away. We haven't introduced you yet. Go away.
Yes.
We don't want people to know you're here. Hang up.
Are you really doing it?
We're really doing it. You're in the show right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Hang up.
We will,
Stop talking to me. Hang up.
Hello?
Go the frig away.
Oh my God. So a locking feature, you say?
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe we should start recording the intro to the show before we record the show so that we don't have this problem in the future.
No, this isn't a problem. This is a marketing boom. This is beautiful.
Here's the problem.
It's ridiculous, but
here's the problem we're at, though. This has now happened twice out of 3 shows, which means people are going to start just doing this to us on purpose. And this is going to get a little ridiculous. This is the 3rd episode. Today we're going to be talking with that guy, Barton George, from over at Dell. And we're going to talk to other people. We got 2 people on that represent kind of the bee's knees of companies that ship laptops and such with Linux preloaded.
I would go so far as to say probably 2 of the most popular or most commonly known. Yeah.
And more than that, really cool guys. Genuinely cool and like fun, nice gentlemen. And so we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, their business decisions. I berate them about Ubuntu for a while. It's fantastic. Lots of fun is had. Also, before we go any further, promo time. Over here is my link. That's where my link is. You can click my link to my Patreon page, where if people support me on Patreon, then I get $1. So that's nice. Right. Matt, do you have a link?
Click here, freedompenguin.com.
Freedompenguin.com. That's a really good .com. When you're at home and like, let's say your wife are talking about URLs to visit, and you come to the .com part, do you ever do the .com, like the Expedia.com song? Do you break into that ever? It's become a constant thing at my house. I would probably get an eye roll and a walk away. And if you're married, you understand this. Everyone that's married out there understands what I'm talking about. My wife's a software developer. Or at least she was before she ran away from that world screaming like I did. But so every time we say a URL, we literally sing the .com. Every time. And that's been happening for 15 years now. And it hasn't gotten old yet, which probably means that we have the most terrible senses of humor on the entire planet. That this is literally what the jokes in our life are like.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you watching this video, you're seeing this layout. I'm up here in this little box, and Matt's over there in his big box, and down right there is kind of like the list of the cast and the notes and whatnot. And up top you can see like this little bar of like, basically you're seeing my screenshot, you're seeing my desktop, and this is what my screen looks like. We record it this way to make the editing easy, right? We record it this way so that we can literally sit down and poop out a show with about 5 minutes of editing. And we want to make it easy for us, so that way we can make more shows, make them faster, and focus all on talking, on us just having a great conversation with some really amazing people every single show. A few people have pointed out that it's cool looking, but it could use a little bit of refinement. And that's fair. I totally agree. Okay, a little bit of a refinement's not bad. Someone's actually started a GitHub project for Open Broadcasting Studios settings to lay it out really similar to this, but look a little more refined. And the layout that they did was great. I can't remember the person's name. They sent me a link over on Twitter, and it looks so much better than the show that we currently are producing right now.
Really? Yeah,
so I started tinkering around with it yesterday, trying to see if I could make it work. I ran into a few hiccups, so we're going to try. If the show radically changes look and feel, it will only be just a little bit. It'll just same layout. We're going to keep the same layout, but maybe we'll make this look a little bit more pro looking and less like we're sitting inside of some sort of little desktop terminal forever, which I think looks kind of cool, but a few people pointed out could look a little more pro. Yeah. But I'm only going to do it. We're only going to do it if it's so easy that we can retain our incredibly high bar of laziness that we have established in the first 3 episodes. So that's that plan. Okay.
Now, added bonus, if we can do it without crashing throughout the entire thing, that could also be kind of cool, because it would be really neat to not have it just take a complete dump on us.
So I was using OBS to record it, which is a cool broadcasting studio software, and it's very, very cool. It works really, really well. It didn't crash. It just stopped recording on me.
That's what it tends to do.
I decided that I wanted to record all of this episode instead of just an indeterminate portion of the episode. So we're going to keep recording it this way until we can get it working just right and being lazy. With that said,
that works.
It's time for the second jingle of the show. Hey, everybody, have you heard about this show? That's it, right there.
There it is.
All right, boys. We are joined today, my dear friend Matthew, with Barton George. Barton George is the senior technologist, or is a senior technologist. I assume there's multiple senior technologists at Dell. I assume or are you the only one? You should be the only
522. I'm just joking. I don't know.
You have no idea. You don't know what's going on in Dell. You have no idea what's happening right now. We're also...
No, I'm not from Dell. Did you think I was from Dell?
Oh, crap. We're moving over. So Barton George, for those of you not aware, is one of the men responsible for bringing us wonderful things like Linux on Dell laptops and such. This is a wonderful thing. We're also joined by Richell. Wait, did I pronounce your last name wrong?
It's Richell.
Close. Richell?
Yeah.
Richell.
It's close. You're close.
It's funny because that wasn't even an option in my head. I was going back and forth between 2 different ones, and that was not one of them I came up with. I feel really bad about that right now. Carl is, and I quote, the director of absolutely everything over at System76, who some of you might know as a company that makes hardware that happens to ship with Linux. Boys, I have you on today because this is kind of interesting to me. Every time a new piece of laptop, a new gear, kit, computer comes out and it happens to be shipping out of the box with Linux, we all freak out a little bit. We all get kind of excited. We all give it a lot of extra scrutiny, and we really get amped up about it because it becomes actual news. Less and less as time goes on, as more pieces of hardware are actually shipping with Linux, which is delightful, but it's still kind of a big deal. So I wanted to talk to 2 of the guys that are actually making this happen, and that's you guys. And it doesn't hurt that you are devilishly handsome individuals. I gotta say, I'm just gonna cycle through this right now. This guy, ruggedly handsome. Over here, ruggedly handsome. There's Matt. I mean, we're just doing great right here. So let's start with this. I want to start briefly with Carl. How long has System76 been actually shipping Linux hardware? When did you guys start doing this?
We started November of 2005.
2005, so 11 years.
This is we're going on 11 years.
11 years.
There's products shipped with, I believe, Breezy Badger.
Breezy Badger. Yeah. That was a friggin' long time ago.
Back in the days. I'm feeling nostalgic.
All right, Barton, when was the first time that Dell was shipping something preloaded with Linux? Like, how long ago was that?
You know what? So this is the part. So I'm the Sputnik side, right? Which is the last one. This is why I said we should have some, because we've been doing Linux for a long time, but that's been more on the server side.
Yes. Yeah, I don't care about servers right now. Servers are important. I know. But I want to talk about like laptops and consumery hardware that people go out and buy and get their greasy fingers on.
So I think it was 7 years ago we made our first foray out with Ubuntu.
Okay.
It wasn't
right.
The positioning wasn't right. It wasn't the roaring success that we had hoped. I can talk more about that later. But yeah, we've been doing that. We've been doing it for a while, and we do have it on a whole bunch of laptops besides the high-end developer laptop, which is what I do. But I can get into that later.
Okay, that's interesting, because what both of you guys are saying is this has been going on for long enough now that it's an established business. I mean, it's one of those things where, like I remember when Dell first shipped a laptop with a version of Ubuntu on it. Everyone was wondering, is this going to be a flash in the pan? Are they going to do one and then stop doing it? Is it just not going to be successful enough to continue making it some more? And now we're seven years in on that. System76 has been making this their business for over a decade, and well, it seems like Carl has still been eating food, like he probably can still afford food, and this is pretty good thing, which suggests to me that this is a business that is really working. So just to kind of look at this from a successfulness standpoint, Carl, how large is System76 now in terms of like people working on the hardware and everything? Like how big is your company now?
So we have 16 employees in Denver. We outsource the assembly and distribution of our products. So there's teams in California and Southern Colorado that actually build and ship our products. So I think if you put everyone together, there's probably about 30 people on a daily effort that are building and
that go into it.
But here in our direct employers are 16, and that's a combination of engineers, sales, support, marketing. That's about every discipline in a company. But to your point, I think we were definitely well past proof of concept.
You think? You are sitting in a very fancy chair right now, which I'm not 100% certain if the chair is one of those fancy wing-back, I'm an executive that smokes cigars chairs, or if it's a granny chair. It's like in the middle between the two of them, and I think that says something to your level of confidence. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it says that I'm on paternity leave in my basement.
Wait a minute. Let's hold off on this. So you run a Linux hardware company and you have paternity leave, or huh?
I know, it's another testament to the proof of concept.
Wow. We're living in the future.
Not just paternity leave. We have 6 weeks, up to 12 weeks of paid paternity leave.
Nice.
Wow.
Are you joking with me?
Yeah, we're pretty. So we're pretty.
Why don't I work for you guys? That sounds fantastic. No offense to the people who currently pay my paycheck. So Barton, this is a little bit of a harder question for you because Dell is obviously this big, gigantic company that's been around for a friggin' long time, and they're Dell, right? But if you had to like put a number on it of the people that you interact with, or the people that go into putting Linux on the laptops, is this? I'm assuming there's a sizable team behind this at this point. Am I right? Or is it
yes, and
how does it work?
That's one of the myths, right? If you're a big company, you've got legions of folks. I mean, we've got on the team that focuses on Sputnik.
Good shirt plug. Well done.
Let me just take a step back, because just to show you where different Linux offerings are.
Take the step back, man.
Step back. So 4 years ago, we came up with the idea of why don't we, instead of taking Linux, in particular Ubuntu, which is a free operating system, putting it on our lowest end systems and having a low price point, why don't we go and sell it to those people that want Ubuntu, not because it's free, but because that's the OS they want, and let's put it on our highest end laptop, which is something that was a bit of an anathema to you like that 25-cent word?
That was pretty good.
To Dell,
I have no idea what that word means. Does Carl or Matt, do either of you know what anathema means?
Words? I don't know.
What does that mean, man? Like
I think I get the gist of it, but yeah, I couldn't.
You do?
What's up?
Is it like an enigma?
I totally know.
No, Enigma's a band, but
or is it like an enema?
Okay. And on that note, let's get
back to this.
So
I'm going to look this up later. It's going to be very informative for me.
So what happened the first go around, which I said was about 7 years ago, and I may have it off by a year or so, the idea was, as I said, hey, free OS, put on our lowest end system, get a low price point, sell it. That wasn't the success we hoped it would be, just because we didn't position it right. And so people would purchase it, not realizing what exactly they'd get, and then get frustrated when it didn't turn out to be an OS that they were familiar with.
Right.
So this time around, we said, hey, let's focus it on people who understand it, are, as I said before, they're buying it because that's what they want. So that's all. That's the
and that kind of culminated in the XPS Dev Workstation kind of stuff.
Yeah. So getting back to your question, we have the developer edition folks, and then we've got the larger Ubuntu team. Linux team, because we also sell a lot. We do sell a lot of lower end systems these days with Ubuntu on it to developing countries. So we sell a high volume of those. And as you can imagine, getting back to the question of how many folks on the team, it's so hard to count because it's so spread out.
Sure.
So, for example, the people who are working on Sputnik itself, and none of us are full-time. There's about 5 of us, and they're also doing other Linux projects. I myself, this is about 20% of my time, and it's a project that I have dragged around with me as I've changed groups within Dell.
Good job, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that you won't let it die. That's fantastic.
Which is, well, that's a whole nother story, but which we'll get into about the, I'm sure Carl and I both have problems. I think we probably have different problems, but within a large company comes its own set of problems. But that being said,
yes,
that's sort of the size of our team. And then we plug into the Dell machine. Say if we want to get up on the website, we work with folks on our web team. But we have to steal cycles from what they're doing.
It's kind of one of those shared resources sort of deals. Yeah.
It is, but oftentimes, and we're getting much more cred in the company, and particularly in the beginning, we're sort of the redheaded stepchild, which is, hey, I've got so much work to do, and on this stuff, which is paying the majority of the bills, and you're coming to me and you're saying you want us to work on what a boon what?
Well, the problem there now, to be fair, you're the redheaded stepchild because of the choice of distro. I mean, otherwise you'd probably be pretty popular internally. There's a lot of really good options out there that are less brown. Just saying.
Mandriva? What are you looking for?
What I'm saying is it needs to be Mandriva across the board. That's what I was trying to get at. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. So let's dive right into this then, right? So clearly there are challenges. Clearly this is not both you, Barton, and you, Carl, have paved ground here in your own particular ways. I want to switch back to Carl here momentarily. So when you started this out, I mean, how do you even go about what you guys did? Because you are now shipping hardware, and granted, you know, you're having to outsource a lot of things and pull together. How do you even get to the point where you go from not to I'm shipping laptops preloaded with Linux working out of the box with support? How do you go from nothing to 60 like you guys did? I mean, or at least how like it seems like you guys did. How do you manage that? How is that possible?
It didn't feel like nothing to 60. It felt like years and years of grueling work, for to accurately describe it. Grueling but satisfying work. So we started in my basement.
Of course you did.
Same basement?
The first thing we did was find some laptops that we could install Linux on, that we could put our brand on, and we made a website and we put them on a website. We developed our message and why we believed open source and Linux and Ubuntu were better, and we started offering to people. And lo and behold, like Barton was saying, people actually wanted the products. We didn't have to force it through anyone's throat, and they didn't want low end products, like he was saying too. What they really wanted was this was a tool for them. It mattered, and it made a difference for their daily work. And we started recognizing that, and so when we began, it was a product would come in. I would actually do the engineering that week to make everything work because I didn't have enough money to bring hardware in beforehand. We would build images for them. I would ship them from my basement. That went on for a couple of months before we hit a school. And
Wait,
a school,
like with a truck? Like what?
Yeah, smash.
Well, and so now we had 60 laptops that need to go out, and it would be extremely painful doing it the way we do it. So then we had to start thinking about how we're going to image all these systems, what processes are going to be put in place. Then you start realizing, well, it doesn't make any sense to double ship these because now everything's shipping to to my basement. Then we're shipping them out. How about we make a deal with a distributor to set up distribution? So it lowers costs for our customers. So then there was that step. Then when you're building a company from nothing, you start to peel off the things you don't like. So I peeled off technical support. I did technical support for a long time, but it wasn't my day-to-day job. I didn't really love it. So we hired people for tech support, then customer service, then you find the things that you're not good at or that people are much better than you at, and you start hiring in that area. Like, engineering. I'm not a very good engineer, and now we have incredible engineers.
Now you have good engineers. You hire those people. You buy them. Yes.
Yeah, and then over time, your standard. I think if you're a good company, you're never satisfied. You're annoyed with the little tiny things that don't work well. You never think you've made it, and so your standards over time just get increased and get better and better and better. First, it was our system needs to suspend and resume. Now it needs to suspend and resume 500 times to pass, and now it was okay that a display hotkey didn't work. Now that's no longer okay. Now everything has to work. So I think as you grow as a company, that's you start. That's how we started, at least, and how we've become what we are today.
When you got started, was the goal? Did you sit down and be like, I want to have a hardware company, or was the goal more, I want to put Linux on hardwares, I want to have a Linux company? What was your driving force between the two?
We recognize that open source is a far superior technology to proprietary, and far more important for computer science. So it was our ambition then and today is advancing open source.
As referenced by your T-shirt, that totally makes sense. So over to Barton. So you came at it from a very different point of view. You obviously big company, Dell has their ways of doing things. They have existing product lines. How did you get to the point where you could actually be shipping this hardware? I mean, clearly, like, let's just do Project Sputnik. Let's just do you, right? Let's focus on that. How did you get to the point where you managed to convince people internally that not only is this a good idea, but we need to dedicate resources to it and actually ship? How'd you get there?
Well, so once again, giving a little context, because I can't answer a question straight. I have to back up first.
That's sure true, man, but I appreciate it.
We had Stephen O'Grady from Redmonk come in. I was in a group at that time, was trying to figure out how do we better reach web companies, from the Facebooks all the way down to the two-people startups. And obviously their developers are key, right? That's what drives them. And I would argue that's what drives IT in general, but we'll put that aside. So Stephen said, you know what you could do? I think it would be great if you took one of your laptops, put Ubuntu on it, and sold it. And I thought, hey, great idea. It's never going to happen.
That's a pretty good answer,
would never be up for it, just because we work on very thin margins. We're like a dragster, right? What we do really well. We sell it in great volumes. We focus on that. The idea of taking what folks would see as a strategic, small volume project would not get traction. So once again, idea put on the shelf. About 3 months later, I learned about this internal incubation program, and the idea was just perfect for what I was looking for, which is, hey, if you come, you pitch to us. If we like your idea, we'll give you a little pot of money. We'll give you 6 months to see if it flies, and if it goes well, we'll turn it into a real product. So that way, you then had your vehicle and your protection to go.
That's kind of cool.
To drive it.
Little mini inside Dell incubator thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a little angel fund, little incubator. Yes, and it was done by Michael Dell's EA at the time. So there was that halo effect. I think the other thing that was cool about it is it itself was done in a very agile way, which was, it wasn't very, what should I say? It wasn't a lot of rigor put to it, which is good and bad. But we've done innovation programs in the past where they have been so large that it really is counterproductive to trying to do innovation. So this one was great because it was very light, it was very fast, and so that's how I got the initial inertia to break gravity. And then from there, it has been so that's how we got into it, right? And then I can go into more details later, but it has been, since that first time, it has been a bit of a slog. It's gotten easier every year with every new product we put out. But there was a time, probably a year and a half ago, that things got particularly tough that I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw in the towel. We've had a good run. We can pat ourselves on the back.
No.
And that's it. But we kept persevering and worked through it. So as I say, you get that initial help to get going, but it's been you must be ever vigilant. And as I say, though, it has gotten easier and easier. So that's the idea of how we first got it kickstarted.
I like that a potential slogan for getting Linux working inside of a major company is "You must be ever vigilant." That just feels good to me.
Another one about zombies, but we won't go there.
Or there's painful and grueling on the dedicated side. So either way, I think it's
exactly.
It's painful. But once you're going, I have the same experience as Barton did. Now, 5 years was that's where it was really, really challenging. But after that, it just became better and better to the point where now it's incredible fun.
So what was the point? So about 5 years or so in, things were just really grueling. It was hard. It was a lot of work. Was there a point? What was that point where you're like, okay, this is working, this is fun, this is just going to happen for a long time? Like, where did that point kick in, or have you not reached that point yet?
Honestly, that was it was. I started the company with a partner.
Yeah.
And after 5 years, I acquired his half of the company. And
was that the point?
It became a bit easier after that, and so I don't think that was necessarily the reason, but it was easier to make decisions, and I wanted to invest heavily in engineering.
So this actually provides something here for Barton. Barton, have you considered just simply acquiring the remainder of the company from Michael Dell? Because then it would probably make this a lot simpler, because then you could just control all of it.
Just write a check.
Well, I did decide to acquire EMC, so I'm going to be using that as well.
You personally did that?
Yeah, it's coming out of my personal fund. Yes, we have done so well with Sputnik that we don't even need financing.
I can't even tell when you're being sarcastic half the time, and that delights me. That absolutely delights me. All right. I have to ask this question, because if I don't, I am going to get destroyed on the internet for this. Both of you, and this is totally for both of you, why Ubuntu? Why Ubuntu first, and why Ubuntu only? Why? I'll let Barton answer first, because the video's on him, and Carl just lucked out by the random draw. He can think of an answer slightly longer.
Yeah, no, I think it was really a no-brainer for me, because one of the things I do is I go around and I do a talk about innovation in a large company, and it's really all about delivery on what you say you can do. And so you need to find something. If you spend so much time analyzing which is the best distro, it's more about which is a really good distro, plus you can actually work with them to get things done. So other larger distros, not larger, but more, what shall I say, more commercial distros would have been much harder to work with, whereas I have a lot of good relationships with the folks at Canonical from a past company that I've worked with. So I already knew them.
Gotcha.
And had been working with them. And so this was a very relatively easy way to get going. It
was just a natural transition. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's, to me, it was, it's the personal relationships you have. It's all about how can you deliver on this as quickly as possible. And then the idea from the beginning has also been whatever we do, whatever drivers we write, we push up to the kernel so other people can benefit. So while the question is why only Ubuntu, we focus on one, but if others want to run it on Mint or Arch or As you said, Mandriva is a really popular one these days.
I would just like to point out right now that this show is being recorded on a beautiful Dell XPS 13 Developer Edition laptop running OpenSUSE Leap. I just would like to point that out right now in glorious 1080p being rendered in real time. It's very, very nice. Just want to put that out there right now. Worked very nicely. Carl, same basic question to you. Why Ubuntu first and why Ubuntu only? And you can't steal Barton's answer, and if your answer is too similar, you have to make up something completely new.
Okay. Deal. Originally, it was... actually, I didn't want to use Ubuntu originally.
What did you want to use originally?
The first time I installed it, this is 2005, of course. The first time I installed it, I couldn't figure out how to get to root, and I threw it in the trash.
I'm trying to remember, because about 2005 was the first time I installed it too, and I'm trying to remember. I didn't like it for the first year or two, and then I liked it after that. But yeah, so what did you want to use?
That's how. So I used Red Hat. I used SUSE. There was one called Yoper that I really liked.
Yeah, I remember that. Where did that go? I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Right. So I guess I got lucky not choosing that one.
Yeah, probably a good choice.
Pulled Ubuntu back out and went from the very first page to the end page of the Ubuntu guide, and it just clicked. Debian made sense. What they were doing made sense. The idea of backports, how the kernel is more aggressive with getting drivers in, which makes a difference for hardware manufacturers. I didn't like the juxtaposition between paid and unpaid that presented itself with SUSE and Red Hat at that time.
I gotcha.
So I liked their business model and how they were approaching it.
That's true, because if we're talking back 2005, 2006, that was the period of time when both Red Hat and SUSE were in boxes on the store shelves. That was, I think that was pre the OpenSUSE project actually spinning off, and that was pre Fedora. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that things were different 10 years ago, weren't they? Oh my goodness.
How long has Fedora been around? I think it's been around longer than that.
Matt, when did Fedora come out? Google it for me real quick. Because I'm trying to remember, because Fedora had Fedora, and they called it Fedora Core for several years, and then they had these add-on packs on top of Fedora Core, and then they dropped the core and stuff like that. But I want to say it's less than 10 years, because...
that sounds about right. Let's see here. Initial release was 2003.
Oh, so a little bit more. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants Dell McMahon, you get this point.
I'm here to wear my Smarty Pants today.
we could ship Fedora Core, but then our customers, if they wanted support, couldn't get it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was fairly early on in its life, really, at that point.
That was part of the difference. And then the other strategy that we use is that while the Linux pie is extremely important, and that's who our customers are, growing that pie is what's most important, because we want to introduce everyone to open source.
Right.
And someone that knows nothing about distributions, all the things and intricacies that we're familiar with, comes to our website and sees a list of 10 operating systems, they have to go somewhere else to figure out what they want. So we decided we were going to make a decision about which one we were going to sell. We were going to sell not only it, but its features. We didn't have to switch between different, music players, whether it's KDE or GNOME or anything else. We can make a much more concise sales pitch to those people that aren't familiar.
Yes, fair enough. So why, at this point, at this day and age, in 2016, a glorious year when everything is sunshine and roses, why only Ubuntu? I have to push on this just a little bit more, otherwise the internet's gonna get real mad at me. Why only Ubuntu?
There's a dry answer to that. One, the same sales strategy applies for new people. Two, I think, I would like to fix some of this by saying we do the same work that Dell does to make sure that any distro runs on it, and we love open source itself.
You do, and I should point out that while I'm recording this on a Dell XPS 13, the last behemoth, massive, amazing System76 laptop I reviewed from you guys was killer. And again, I think I ran Arch, Elementary, and OpenSUSE on there, and it ran fantastically well out of the box with no tweaks at all. So I do want to make sure that that's very clear.
So that's important to us. Preloading, I think. I think some people don't recognize how broad Ubuntu's reach really is. It is a huge distribution with lots and lots of reach and lots of people, and that's another reason that we ship Ubuntu exclusively.
I would think that, along those lines too, is whether you're System76, which is a small company compared to Dell, or you're the little ragtag group like we are within Dell, it's back to that focus and delivery. And if you start spreading your resources between too many things, you're not gonna succeed. So you do what you can. You have the community do the rest, and you be a good community member as well.
That's a fantastic point. That's absolutely right. It would not be possible for us to provide the same level of excellence across all of our products, supporting all the different distributions. It takes hundreds or maybe thousands of hours of testing and engineering just to deliver the products we do with one distribution.
That's fair. And I do appreciate the work that goes into it, because the reality is it does make it easy to run all the other distributions anyway. But again, I do have to ask, how often do you guys, and again, to both of you guys, get questions and requests for the other distribution? Is it a constant thing, or is it only when you go on podcasts with jerks like me who like to bring it up? Or do your customers actually actively ask for the other distributions? Like, I mean, is it something you actually hear about?
No, I'd say jerks like you.
It's mostly just me. How about you, Matt? Matt, I'm just really curious. So have you ever requested from companies like these guys to preload with other distros? Have you ever spoken out for that?
No, because I come from a marketing background, and they're absolutely right. It doesn't make any sense. If you try to please everyone, not only are you diversifying your resources to where it becomes diluted, but on top of that, it just doesn't make any sense. If they stick with Ubuntu, generally speaking, it all's coming up at the kernel anyway, and it all kind of peters down. It's going to work with any distro.
It all peters down.
Yeah, it all peters down. It doesn't make any difference. And people like to make a big stink about it. I mean, of course, people like to make a big stink in open source anyway, so whatever. Yeah, I think the whole thing's silly. I mean, it really comes down to the guys that are building these systems, the components they're putting into it, looking to future-proof it, which both have a really good history with this. And that's awesome, because 5 years down the road, I actually have a System76 laptop that runs Plex right now from 2008. And I nuked the power cord, but it still works for the most part after dropping it, and it works like it did the day I bought it. I've had no problems. I don't even have to use the System76 driver anymore. It's cool. So,
and then just to give a more serious answer, that's one thing I've been really happy with, is we've been able to develop a thriving forum, and that's where people swap answers. Hey, I'm running it on Arch. I'm having problems with the brightness when I uploaded to the latest BIOS. Has anyone else had problems with this? And so because of the community, we really haven't had a lot of people who have asked for other distros, because they just load them and help each other out with them.
Right.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know what else to say other than that's fair. I don't disagree. It's funny. I think I sit in the same spot as so many people within the greater Linuxy world. We all have our personal loves and our personal pet projects and our things that we would love to see advance. And when both of you companies, and again, massive respect to what both of you do, make a very fair point about why you pick just one distro. I can't actually disagree with any of the points you make. I just really want to see certain distros preloaded. And it's not for a business reason or because I can't just reload it themselves. I just want to see it happen so that I can tweet about it and smile. That's really most of it. I think it's rather neat. So Carl's on here, Barton's on here. You guys represent two competitors. You're not exactly, I mean, both of you guys are selling laptops, very good laptops, excellently good laptops. And both of you guys are on the same show right now, and neither of you have attacked each other at all or belittled each other in any way. And I think that's kind of neat. personally, I think that's fairly impressive, and that says mountains about the community that we have in the open source world, and yada yada yada, free love and hippie sauce. But I just would like to point out to everyone that these are two representatives, two kind of leaders in these realms who are direct competitors, and neither of them has said bad things about each other. So what I thought would be kind of fun to do. That being said,
here we go.
I would like to give each of you one sentence to tell, and we'll just leave it all in this one sentence. And let's make this like a tweet-length sentence. Now, I'm not going to hold you to 140 characters here, but let's try and keep it a short sentence. Why would people use or buy from your company's Linux laptops over someone else's Linux laptops? And there's other Linux laptop manufacturers out there. We don't have a representative from Verizon or anything like that on right now. It's just you guys. So if you feel the need to directly attack someone who's not here, I understand. You can take the pansy way out. It's totally cool. I like both of you guys, so it's cool. I'm going to go with Barton first, because Barton is all the way on the left-hand side of my screen. Barton, the one-sentence reason, why is it that people would purchase a Linux-powered laptop from Dell, but not from the vast array of handful of other companies out there that produce them, like System76? What is it about Dell's Linux laptops?
So, of course, I can't answer the question first without at least giving a peace, love, dove thing, right? Because I think so here's the answer quick is that...
I just totally gave up. I'm done?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, but it's all about growing the pie, right? And I think that this is big enough space that we can coexist, and I think that next year is the Linux laptop.
Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait.
So anyway, no, I think that the position that we've come up with is being a tier 1 OEM, right? Just given the size of Dell, right? We're a huge company, and that's what we're selling. The promise of is that it's being backed by a large company, and so that's how we would position ourselves. So that's sort of in a nutshell in the tweet type of thing. That's how I'd
that's how you'd say it, Carl. What do you got? And are you going to make me flop down in my chair and throw my hands up in the air?
Probably, yes. What I'd say is you can't go wrong picking a preloaded Linux product. You can go wrong picking a Windows product. You can
there you go
wrong buying a Mac.
Yeah, but that we can agree on.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're preaching to the choir. You're getting the rah speech going. All right.
Yep. So you cannot go wrong buying a Linux computer. Look at what you need, and whoever's offers what you need, buy that.
That was really, that was reasonable.
The one thing I want to touch on is buying experience, because this is a big thing with me, and both of you guys have very different buying experiences. When I want to buy a laptop, walk me through the buying experience from each of you guys. That would be interesting, because I think that would be an interesting comparison. If I want to, I pop onto the main URL, Dell or System76, and what does that look like?
You mean like their website?
Yeah, I go to Dell.com. How do I walk me through the process of how I would select a Linux laptop?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure because sometimes I get a little, I'm a little ADD, so I get a little confused with it. But if you can kind of walk me through the process, because that's something I've struggled with is, when I go to various vendors, everybody's got a different flow to a different style. And I just want to understand the different flows and styles you guys have with that. Like when I go to if I want to pick a laptop, walk me through that process. What does that look like?
Yeah, and I think that's a constant battle for us, because is trying to make our laptops as visible and as easy for you to find,
discoverable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes maybe the logical path may not be the logical path. Okay. So we've got things like Dell.com/Sputnik that'll take you to a landing page. Dell.com/developers, Dell.com/Ubuntu, Dell.com/developer. But that being said, if you don't know that, there's no way you would know that. So there are different ways. If you search on Ubuntu on our developer laptop, and it changes all the time too, but it should be able to take you to it. And then once you do that, you go to we've got a couple different ones. And I will say the XPS 13s are much easier to find than the Precision workstations.
Right. Yeah.
We have our own page for XPS 13 Developer Edition, whereas Precision, it's part of the Precision's configure to order, right? So you can pick all different things you want. One of them is OS, but it's not the most intuitive thing to find. Whereas if you're on the developer XPS 13 page, it's Ubuntu. You know what you got.
Yeah, so, I kind of see this. I mean, whenever I've had to go look and see what's the current specs or what's the current pricing for those Ubuntu laptops that Dell makes, I usually end up going to like my past articles and clicking the links in my articles, because if I just go to Dell.com, I have a hard time finding it at first. And it's a discoverability thing. And I kind of see what you're saying. It is a difficult one. Like, how do you get that visibility on the front page? How do you get the visibility in such a way that it's visible but not making Microsoft or some of the other partners upset, or making some of the other divisions of the company not get some space? So that is a big problem. On the flip side, Carl, you guys just ship Linux, right? I mean, do you guys really sell preloaded with anything else?
No, it's all we do. I guess that's a benefit to being small and focused. For a big company, I mean, anymore we search for everything now. So I think that might make it easier for folks that are looking for Dell Ubuntu laptops. And for us, I think the difference might be that, everything that you're looking at is an Ubuntu laptop, and that's just part of that focus.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I have two questions for you guys, and then if you guys have stuff you want to talk about, I'm willing to open it up. One of them's a fluff ball question, and I legitimately want to ask it, and one of them's a little bit harder. Fluff ball first. Carl, favorite piece of hardware you guys currently sell that you think is actually really rad? Like, what's your favorite piece that you like and use?
The Oryx Pro is our flagship.
What's the Oryx Pro?
It is a 15-inch high-end, ultra-thin laptop.
I'm just kidding. I totally know what the Oryx Pro is, and I totally want one. It looks really, really rad.
Gorgeous piece of machinery. Yes.
Can I tell you something? That was the only correct answer. So, like, you have other cool pieces of hardware, but I'd already made up in my mind that was the correct answer. I'm going to see if Barton gets this answer correct as well. Barton, what is the best piece of Linux-powered hardware that you guys make and you use and you think is just rad beyond words?
XPS 13. That's the one I take around and show people. And it's interesting, as I told you when Stephen originally pitched that idea of a developer laptop, not only was it going to be hard to get through the system, we didn't have, let's say, the best looking of laptops at that time. And what happened in the meantime, besides this innovation project coming up, we launched the XPS 13. So that was a nice sort of bonus that you could come out with a developer system that was one that you could show along people that have Macs, that you wouldn't feel like you were having to deal with your grandma's box. So the thing with this is that we've continued to be able to ride off the development efforts for
I'm trying really hard not to make a joke about the phrase trying not to deal with your grandma's box. Continue.
You see how quickly
wow.
I off of that?
I'm just having a really hard time. It was really difficult for me. All right, I need to move on. By the way, that was the correct answer. You did get that correct.
Thank you.
All right, a little bit harder one. You guys have both been in this industry a while now. You know about all the benefits and pitfalls of. One of you guys is echoing, and whoever it is gonna get a virtual, I don't know, flick of the nose or something. But it's cool. Better. If you could fix something about the industry that you exist in that's going to make your lives easier, that's going to make your customers' lives easier, what is it that you need to fix? What is an actionable, fixable thing? Either Dell or System76 or Canonical or Linus or whoever is what's the thing? Technical, business, marketing, whatever, that needs to get fixed to make your lives better right now. What is it? There's got to be something. Everyone hates something about their jobs. I love my job. What I do is amazing. If you forced me to sit down right now, I could give you a laundry list of all the terrible things about it and what could make it way better. But I love it. You guys have got to be the same. What's the one thing? What's your biggest pain point right now? Barton, go ahead.
Okay. I think the biggest thing is getting the various vendors to all work together, right? So if you've got priorities, Microsoft drivers obviously get priority, right? Yeah. I would love to have a greater sense of priority when it comes to things like Linux drivers, if it's for the wireless card or whatever. It's how, so we've got Dell, we've got Canonical, we've got XYZ vendor who's creating that part. How can we get a greater sense of urgency around creating those drivers, right? And we have it to a lesser or greater extent. You know, even with ourselves being Dell and being a huge vendor, they don't always say Intel doesn't say we're dropping everything just to work on your Ubuntu drivers.
Right. That is hard. So what's the way to fix that? Is there a fix to that that's in your mind? There's got to be something in your mind that you're like, oh, if only these retarded people could just do the thing that Barton told them to do, it'd be all better. What's the thing?
You know, I think it's maybe an education towards the power of the developer. I think that's one of the things that, just like I have this problem within the company or challenge, area of opportunity.
There we go. Area of opportunity is a good way to put it.
Is to let people know that even though developers aren't going to buy as much, anywhere near as much as the general consumer, these people are highly influential. And by doing this and by working to their needs, your products are going to become, when it comes time for them to recommend within their companies, your products are going to be top of mind for that. And so I think, as opposed to if they say, well, what about this? And you say, oh, those guys are jerks to work with. That doesn't help your cause. So I guess that's what I do is if you could do.
So you shouldn't take the Lunduke approach and just start calling people names then is kind of what I hear you saying on that. And that's fair. Yes. That's a very fair statement. Carl, same question to you. Pain point. What's the thing that causes you the most consternation and the biggest ulcers?
Ironically, our biggest pain point is the same as Dell's, but it's exactly what our job is too. That's the hard part is aligning Intel, Dell, or Intel, Ubuntu, NVIDIA, Realtek, everyone else in producing a production-ready product. That is the hard part.
So how do you make that better? Or can it be made better? Is it just inherently hard?
That's why I didn't want to use that one because I don't have an answer. It's just
I don't have an answer either. I was just hoping you did.
It's just what we do, but it's a constant thing, day in and day out. When you think about it, in October of last year we had Skylake and 1510. In April we had 1604. We had X99 chip updates somewhere in between there. Now we have Kaby Lake coming. We have NVIDIA Pascal coming this month. We have so that's every month there's something new, and making sure that our customers have the latest hardware and it's working perfectly with Linux that's our thing. So how to make it better? More upstream work on Linux. That I think it's the same answer. The feasibility of that is, I think, low.
That's fair. That's
an excellent answer.
That's a pretty good answer. All right. I do have one more question, but before I get to that question, I would like to point out everyone's T-shirts here. Barton, you're sitting there with your Project Sputnik shirt, well representing the open source with Inside Dell. Fantastic. Carl, look at that. What do you got right there, Carl?
This would be scale. What year is this?
This is scale 2015, I think.
Yeah, 2015 scale.
Yeah, I've got one of those. No, it's dirty. It's in the wash right now, but I've got one of those bad boys as well. Matt, what are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
I'm rocking a Montana shirt with a Star Wars theme because that's what was clean today. So
that's very very nicely done. And I don't know if this is at all visible, but I'm running an Archon shirt, which is one of my favorite games from about 1981, something like that. Yeah, anyway, the reason I point that out is because everyone here has actual legit nerd cred, and it's referenced inside their wardrobe. And I think that's important when we're talking to these sorts of people. All right, final question for me, and then I'll open up to Matt. You guys, whatever you want to talk about. Tablets. why don't I have a totally radical, kick-ass, normal Linux-powered tablet from two of my favorite hardware companies? Yeah, I'm toggling back and forth between Barton, guys. I understand.
Bueller.
Forward-looking product announcements. This is not the place to do it. Why hasn't that happened yet in your guys' mind? Why do I not have that yet? Because it's something that I want so bad. Am I literally the only customer that you guys can count on to buy one if you make a standard, say, Debian or something powered Linux tablet? Is that it? Are we the net total of the audience for that, or is it just not there yet? What's going on with that? Why is this not happening?
I think the operating system isn't there yet. Ubuntu Touch is getting closer and closer. Every release is better. We're waiting for that to converge with the desktop and see what that's and what that entails. It opens up a lot of opportunity for us for touch screens that will work much better, and a responsive operating system that spans from small phones all the way up to, I suppose, any screen size like TVs and such. But it's not there yet. So it's not ready for a product that we would produce, but it's on its way. The second thing is that we are focused on creating products for creators. That is our primary focus, our primary drive.
That's fair.
And so I think that's where we put our energy. As that grows, the opportunities for products like tablets and phones will grow with it.
Okay, Barton, any thoughts on that? I mean, is it something you want?
I'm going to leverage what Carl said and basically take the idea for creators, right? So we're targeted developers. It's about the focus. How do we deliver for those folks? Now, Dell Normal might be looking at this. They would be the more likely folks to pick or develop something like this, but I can't speak for them. But within our effort, as I said, we're very developer focused at this point.
Okay, all right, that's totally fair. At one point, I'm going to convince one of you guys, please, for the love of God, just make it for me. That's all I'm asking for. It will get probably a really good review.
I'm sorry, Brian. So you want this when? Let me just write this down.
You know, here's the amazing part. I'm not picky. September would be fine. I'm willing to wait a few weeks. Matt, do you have anything you want to ask the two people that are the driving forces behind Linux on these laptop and desktop companies?
I do. My big question is, as I'm sure you guys are well aware, there is a laundry list of people out there that are becoming disillusioned with OS 10 and Windows because of their fantastic decisions. Not. Anyway, so there's that opportunity. You're talking about creators and whatnot. Fun fact, there's a lot of creators in those communities. Are you guys looking at marketing to those individuals as far as in spaces that they're used to shopping, such as, and I know you both have limited presence in like Amazon and that sort of thing, but have you ever thought about teaming up together to create some sort of a university, if you will, like an online university situation where people can begin to experience what you can in fact do with Ubuntu and related distros? Because I think a lot of people, when I show them Ubuntu and related distros, they get pretty excited. They're just like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that, especially with web developers. I found that's really a big hit. Is that something you guys have ever considered either on your own doing or maybe even teaming up with other vendors to kind of put that together and really, because I think that would be a big mark for you guys. There's a wide world of people out there that are hanging on to Windows 7 as tight as they can because they refuse to upgrade. And I think there's opportunity there. Just my thinking.
That's how we develop our sales pages when we go into, when we talk with the creative team about who a product applies to and what type of workflow and individually apply to. So each one of our products has a unique sales page that shows its unique place in someone's computing life, I suppose. Cool. Whether it's good for video editing or music production, or whether it's good for CUDA development. Each of our pages talks towards that user and what they can do with open source, without it being, it's not so hardware specific. It's really what you can do with the product.
Right.
So that is how we approach our sales process.
Have you ever thought of you guys expanding beyond that into? Because I mean, your website, the website's great. It's especially the latest one's really amazing. But
it's a nice website.
But it's a discoverability thing. It's like it's whether it be AdSense or community mentions or whatnot. That's pretty echo chambery. We're all kind of in our own little box a lot of times, and I run into people all the time that if you introduce it to folks, they actually would dig it. But I think it's a matter of discovering, and like I said, getting it on Amazon, getting out onto other vendor websites that are, like Tiger Direct, Amazon, whatever, what have you. Is that something you guys have ever considered, as actually getting that sales experience? And because like you go to Amazon.com, for example, they actually have an option to where you can buy in a landing page and actually create that similar experience, but in a venue people are already at by the millions. Is that something you guys ever looked at?
So we do offer our product on Amazon.
Right.
So I suppose there are two different parts of that. One is content that you create and how your message around what your product is, and the second part, how do you distribute that message? And for us, there are kind of the traditional ways, which are like search marketing.
Sure.
And seeking out the demographics that would be interested in our products, that they're the low hanging fruit, without trying to put a billboard or Super Bowl ad. So it's a balanced and nuanced approach it goes between what our message is, creating content, engaging people, as well as what is going to be most effective for the budget that we have available to us.
That makes sense. Okay.
And I would say from my side, it's very much the same as, once again, we're a huge company, but our group has a very finite amount of resources. And how do we stay as guerrilla and focused as we can?
It's hard
to deliver what we have. And so the things that we do really are things like we're doing right now, right? So this is how we get it out. I remember when it came to, are we going to offer the next version in Europe? There was some talk within some people at Europe, and they put it up the chain, and the guy said, why wouldn't we do this? We sold X number. The only marketing we've done is Barton's blog. So it's not as if, ROI wise, we're doing really well because we really don't have a whole huge marketing
maybe it just means that you're the best blogger there is. I mean, maybe it's just a testament to blogging skills.
Because I think it sounds like bragging when I do it, but
So I think we can all basically agree that if we're going to continue getting new users on board, it really comes down to what the community does. It's there's finite numbers involved for.
I thought you were going to say it all comes down to Barton's blog. I thought that was
down to Barton. Well, that's a piece of the community. I think that's sure, why not?
All right, Barton, we'll go with that. Carl, is there any topics that you would like to ask of each other? Anything that you've just been dying to ask each other? Feel free. This is your moment. And if you say no, it's totally okay. Go for it, man.
All right. I understand that you guys are shipping a router with Ubuntu Core. What can you tell me about that?
It would be the switch, not the router, unless there's something I'm not aware of. But OS, okay. So, all right. It's called
back up
OS
a second.
10. It's called OS 10. I don't think why you infuse with anything else, but it is our Ubuntu. Actually, it's Debian based, but it is our open networking operating system that we're doing, and we have a whole program around it. And I think that's what you're referring to. Does that sound about right, or is there something else?
It was an Ubuntu. It was a product using Ubuntu Core. Using Ubuntu Core is.
I thought I remember something like this too.
That's the IoT. That sounds like it's our IoT side, because we do have Ubuntu Core inside of that.
Oh. Do you have much you could share about that? I'm interested in the experience of using Ubuntu Core and developing a product around it.
What's it saying? Find it. Oh, my power supply is waning here, but I think I've got enough to.
All right, squeeze it in, man.
No. So I'm definitely plugged into the IoT team, but I don't know as much detail about that. I did do a couple of videos with them. So if you go to the Dell.com vlog, you can just search on it. But I did do one when they were at OSCON and had somebody run through it. And so I wish I was more up on it. And I'm always trying to knit together anybody who's doing Ubuntu related, just because this is trying to get more momentum within the company. If I say it's more than just my little project, but I can't tell you too much about it. And it's not because I'm because it's secret. It's because I don't know too much about it.
That's totally fair and reasonable. And as you guys are going about your day-to-day lives, interacting with other people within Dell, coming up with new strategies within System76, if you ever find that you need to branch out and utilize other Linux distributions and technologies, feel free to toss me an email. I might have an idea or two. Just want to put that out there. And then I want to wrap this up because you guys are awesome, but I also want to end before Barton's laptop completely dies.
It is literally flashing the little red X right now.
That's wonderful. Thank you guys so much. There's links over there on the side of the thing. You can find out that what might need. You really don't need links for this. This is Dell and System76. You probably already know what they are, but there's links all over the place anyway. Thank you guys to both of you. Thank you for being cool. Thank you for showing up with actual nerdy t-shirts on.
Definitely.
That means a lot, because otherwise, if it was a button down, I was probably going to kick you out. And Carl, great chair, my friend.
Yeah,
great friggin' chair.